Ba, ba, da,
Hi.
ba, 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 ba. Do you know what? After all of that talking about, oh, it feels really, really strange. As soon as you hear that music, it's like, boom, we're back.
Yeah.
Tony, good to see you, and even better to hear you. Welcome,
Yes.
welcome, welcome, welcome back. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Very well, very well. Still a bit coffee and a bit spluttery, but I'm fine. At least I can be heard, which
Yeah,
is it's a plus. It's a plus.
absolutely. And welcome home, everyone who is joining us and coming up and talking in the chat. And you know what? A break away, a bit of time away, requires a bit of acknowledgement and a little bit of an advance, because the one thing we've always struggled with is everyone being able to see what each other is saying, because there are various different streams coming in. So let's do something about that, shall we? Welcome to the chat.
Yay!
You now get to see what we see. You can now see us, we can now see you, and you can see the whole conversation going on. Which is wonderful that we can now include everyone as part of the stream.
Absolutely. How cool is that? I do like it.
It's awesome. It puts more emphasis on everyone else joining in and having the conversation. It means that if we mention a comment, rather than just because we can still highlight the comment, but in order to make sure that everyone knows what's going on, you can see what everyone is saying from all of the different locations from which we're streaming. So everyone who's on my page or your page, for example, can
Yeah.
see what Kazza is saying about the boys being back in town. Not just through that, but by it being on the screen right next to Tony. Look
Yeah.
at
That's cool. I like
that.
it. I like it.
And of course, we can still scroll backwards and forwards and highlight. In actual fact, I think you can highlight comments as well now, can you not, Mr. T?
Uh, nope.
Do you have the option to star a comment?
Nope.
No.
Don't
Oh
think so.
well, that can be looked at. We'll have words to
Yeah.
tell them to
We'll,
fix it.
we'll have a play.
The great thing for me is that I can also comment, and everyone can see it too. Just like that.
I like that. I like that. It's
we
very
we
narcissistic.
we are just gonna have so much fun with this now, aren't we?
Boys and their toys.
Absolutely. Very good point from Reverend Ashley Oliver there. Best behaviour now, everyone. Good spelling, punctuation, and grammar.
Indeed.
Reminds me of a joke about my grammar being atrocious. No, she's in the spirit world. Um, so Sarah McGeechy says, is that a plain Facebook Live or through something else? We are now streaming through a group, an organization, a company called Restream. There we go. There's the branding up the top. Restream is similar to StreamYard. For those that use StreamYard, it's very similar, but it has similar, slight differences, but a lot more functions, especially the chat, which is something that I think we always wanted, didn't we, Tony?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really frustrating that we, if we missed a comment and talked about it, people on the other streams couldn't see it and didn't know what we were talking about. And we were pretty good at highlighting them and bringing them up when relevant, but occasionally you do just catch one out of the corner of your eye and say, "Oh, what Dawny just said about Ashley. When have these boys ever behaved?"
Yeah,
Normally somebody couldn't see that, and it's
yeah,
just really great. I like it.
it really, really is. Like for instance, Dawny's comment, Ashley, when have these boys ever behaved? And I'm just noticing, um, the animation as people twang in from the side is just awesome. It
Yeah.
really is hilarious. So, welcome along, everyone. Shall we go back to the top and say some hellos, Tony?
Yeah, well, we know who's gonna be first off the ranks, don't
We
we?
certainly do. Starting with her tens and getting all the way down to her halves, it is, of course, Hello Kaza, with that lovely picture of a certain comedian that she is, following as a fan. Um, you
Yes,
know,
yes.
welcome along, baby reindeer. Good to see you, darling.
Yes, yes, and Mama Brown saying, "Great to see us back. Hello, welcome."
And there's the lovely Ashley Oliver. Good to see you. Glad to be back. Glad to be back.
Yeah, and Mr. Gopal, hello there.
Hello
Lovely
there,
to see
guys.
you, sir.
Now, I was harassed and told if I didn't come on today by this young lady, I would be in trouble. Welcome along, Cherry Ann Bodman Barnes. Good to see you.
Yes, and Dawny, hello, with a hearty emoji.
A hearty heart and a hearty welcome, not just to Dawny, but also that £9, 11-ounce bundle of joy, Danica, who is our newest follower as well. Congratulations from both of us and all of us at the
Absolutely,
Alliance. And welcome
absolutely.
to the family, Danica.
Yes,
Um,
definitely. And
there's Daniel
Daniel,
Carlton. Here he is. Good man. It was so funny actually when I just literally finished doing they are returning video to just tease it. And Daniel pops up on the page and says, "What's happened to the two Revs? I've been a bit busy. Are they still going?" It's like, if only you knew, mate. But you will
yeah.
in a minute.
Eunice, hello, and welcome to you too, dear. It's great to see you as well.
Really, really is. And Sarah McGeechy, who we have spoken, we have talked, we have worked together. It's good to welcome you along to this particular aspect of our journey. I'll be honest with you, I have really, really, truly missed.
Yes. Hello, Tris A. Lapworth.
Good
It
to
is
see you,
so
darling.
nice to be back.
Definitely, Mr. Payne. Good to see you. He's on his way home. Look, dirty
Yeah.
stop out. What can you say, eh?
I know. I know.
And
Disgrace.
this is see what I am seeing here now, right now, is the best part because Ashley has just obviously come on and said, um, hi Neil, hi Cherry. What a wonderful thing, and it's great if we get to share. Oh, hang on, I need to click away, click away, click away. Ashley is obviously. Oh no, I'm jumping backwards and forwards left. I've got to get used to it. It's been a while. Hi Neil, hi Cherry Ann. The fact is, everyone can see that whether they're on the same chat line or not,
Mm.
which is awesome. Oh, that is a
Oh,
really, really good point. Danica needs a two Revs t-shirt.
yeah. Did they do them in Titchy?
Well, Eunice, you'll have to ask the other Tony. Do you do them in Titchy? Is that making up our minds what we're going to be? Mm. um, oh, and Mummy agrees. Isn't it nice to say that? Mummy agrees.
Mummy
And
agree.
Neil is on his way, as everyone can see. Neil is back from Bognor, or yes,
Yeah.
coming back from Bognor. And look who it is!
It's Joanne. Purple hearts. Purple
Not
hearts.
only are we back, you also made it at the beginning as well. We've met in the right time and place. Eunice has just said, "We'll sort it," so we know what's going on. And Ashley's asking about merch. I don't know much about how much merch we have
I haven't a clue.
in
I
in
haven't a
terms
clue.
in terms of, doing merch, for the
Yeah,
two Revs. I'm
yeah.
not aware too much about that.
No,
Um
no pin badges and no.
Oh my god, we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, and not the only one. Mama B has a two Revs mug too.
Yeah,
There we go.
but
And they are available through Eunice and Tony, and I have almost. God, it's been a month and I still haven't got that sorted. You know, I've almost got it finished setting up details so that they can actually sell the merch for us. It is so much fun to be back, and thank you all for your support, and actually thank you for your patience as well. I know,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
well, from most people, there are a few people that have been putting my arm behind my back and twisting it as hard as they can. There was a threat of thumb screws and that sort of thing, but we're back.
That's good.
Um, and it's good to have you all back too. It really, really is. And
Yeah.
mate, I am so glad to be sharing my Friday with you. But in time honoured tradition of hearing that voice in my ear that we haven't got today. Um,
This the Richard voice.
the Richard voice in our ear. Everyone's getting interested in the merch now. Eunice, I'm on it, I promise. Um,
Yeah.
You can actually get the T-shirts if you go to Suffolk Insignia. They are still available to purchase on the website. The mugs have been done slightly different. Um, and Cherry Ann's putting in her order now so that she can collect it when she comes over to the United Kingdom, all the way from France next month. Um, So yes, we'll get that sorted and we'll get that up and running in the next 7 days. I was going to say couple of days. That's not practical. I know myself. Um, you know,
Daniel.
let's give it some air. Let's give it some air. Everyone can see it. But yeah, it's great to be back. So being out of practice and being out of experience, but getting through the welcomes, getting through the welcomes on a quicker scale. It is that time to say this is, of course, your show. We are your mouthpieces. We are your practical inspirers and helpers. In terms of the earth plane, we've got our inspirers and helpers of the spirit plane, just that thin veil away. And so we are here to talk about what you want to talk about. We are here to answer questions, give our experiences, share our experiences, and also listen to your experiences and thoughts and opinions too, because this is absolutely a location where your say counts.
Yep, absolutely.
I wonder where that's going. And so, bring up your subjects, your suggestions, your thoughts, ideas. The new look Revs looks fantastic. Um, it's funny. We've got a moving background now. Have you even noticed it, Tony?
I did. I did. It's been catching my eye, and I was thinking, what is that?
It's I'll afterwards I'll share screen and we can have a look and you can
Hmm.
decide if this is the one you like or if you want to go for one of the other ones because there are options. Plus, we can do personalized ones too. Uh,
I hate to think what we could have waving in the background.
well, it is nearly summer. Warming up for winter and free flow. Oh, that was a close one. I nearly caught
Yeah,
myself
yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Free flowing for summer. And so Lisa is Lisa the lovely Lisa Snowflake is with us. Welcome along, darling. And we have got our first question.
Ooh.
Have you listened to a few near-death experiences? Do you know I hear about them all the time? I had one myself. And that's a really, really good warmer upper, I think.
It is, it is.
Tony, near-death experiences. What are
I've
your
heard
experiences?
I've heard a few, and amazingly, I've heard a few from people who don't know each other, and they've all been so similar. It's unreal. It's unreal, and it's you sort of think these people couldn't have just randomly plucked this out of thin air and and made it up. It's They all speak of being very calm, very relaxed, very peaceful, and warm and a loving feeling as they went. And a lot of people talk about a bridge over a stream because our lovely Reverend Jean spoke about she'd collapsed in the bathroom and blocked the door, which is not why now the bathroom door opens out onto the landing rather than into the bathroom. And her father was stood at the far side of the bridge saying, "It's not time yet. It's not time yet. You need to go back." And she's like, "I don't want to. I want to come to you." And it's not your time. Go on. You've got more work to do there,
Yeah,
which is incredible. But yeah, they all speak of, like I said, this sense of calm, of love, warmth, acceptance, and just peacefulness.
yeah, definitely. I have had one. Um,
Mm.
Very, very, very long time ago. In actual fact, me and Mum were talking about it with somebody yesterday. It When I was a young child, I almost drowned, and I could. I wasn't a very good swimmer, and I'd got someone who was looking after me, and I pushed off, and they'd gone away, and I went under. Um, Poor mum, bless her, she wasn't a swimmer, so she was sitting in the wings watching and was screaming out, "There's a kid drowning over there! Kid drowning over there!" Didn't actually realise that it was me, because it was just this hand waving above. But
Mm.
here's the thing. I was flailing about like a nut job, and I opened my eyes under the water, and there was this very brief moment where everything, and here it comes, everything suddenly became calm, and the water started to glow and become brighter and brighter. And I just heard this voice say, "Don't panic." Now, thinking about it, as a kid underwater, I wouldn't have actually heard any voices. It would have, but I heard this voice clear as day say, "Don't panic." And the next thing I know, I feel my arm being yanked in the air, but it's still going on. "Don't panic, don't panic." I remember my arm being yanked in the air, but I don't remember feeling a hand or anything. I just felt my arm being yanked into the air. I knew it wasn't me doing it because everything else was all over the place. Then I remember feeling a hand go round my wrist and being yanked out of the water and everything suddenly going very dark. Um, and I believe that it was a kind of a halfway point,
Mm.
even though it wasn't what would officially be classified as an NDE because I hadn't gone anywhere. I felt that I was being cradled and protected and looked after, and it's as though spirit came in really, really close. Because it's funny, that brightness of everything around is what I see when spirit come close now as a medium,
Yeah.
and that clarity of voice, because I can never quantify which ear, if any, I heard the voice in, because it came from back here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that keep calm. and then feeling that arm being yanked up. Well, there was no way that anybody underneath the water would have yanked my arm up. But of course, the relaying of the story from the other perspective is there was this kid with his hand out of the water. So obviously, either through direct intervention or by influencing my physicality, my hand had to go in the water as a way of letting people know I was there, and that's at the end what saved me. My hand being waving above the water. It's like, "Hello, mum, look at me."
Yeah.
Poor bugger, as you can see by her comment there. But I that was kind of like the first time I felt spirit coming around me.
Mm.
And it wasn't long after that when I actually saw my first spirit person knowingly, when that bloke walked through the wall, and I told him what a silly Billy he was because he might bump into somebody walking through walls, and he said, If I can walk through a wall, I'm not gonna worry about bumping into anybody, am I, you silly boy?" And, that was my doorkeeper. So it was probably him that yanked me hand above the water, but
Mm. Mm.
you do it is all of that calmness and sereneness. And you know what? Whether it is, as scientists say, that chemical moment where the brain is shutting down, or whether it is spirit, or whether it is a combination of the two, people who are not religious in any way, not spiritual in any way, still feel it and relay it and experience it in that kind of strange celestial way. And so I think that speaks volumes, in my opinion, and I won't
And
I won't be shifted on that one.
no, no, I agree. I agree. I think it's there's a there's got to be a scientific element to it because of we are living organisms, but
Absolutely.
there's that huge spiritual element as well of just stay calm, you'll be fine. Come with me. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
important. And yet, Mama Brown says she nearly died that day too with shock.
Yeah, that's understandable. And yes, everything in this way of life, my friend, I agree, it absolutely is. It is a personal thing. Because thought transference, which is how mediumship works, is from our point of view, our perspective, our knowledge, our awareness. I always talk about that personal perspective of awareness, and it's always a personal thing. But those similarities are the things that tie it together. And if we look at those similarities, that's where we find that mutually spiritual core. Um,
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I
Hi,
did see,
Clara.
yeah, I liked Ashley's comment or question. Is it the moving quantum field or a holodeck field?
Could be a bit of both. Could be a bit of both. Bit both.
Yeah,
Bit both. Um, See, I starred that, and I thought we'll come back to that either by hook or by crook. We'll be coming back to it. So I started. It was easy to find then. Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
No,
wicked. I love this. I
it,
love
it
this new system.
it actually could have a little bit of the Matrix thing going on as well.
Mm,
Yeah,
there is no spoon.
yeah.
See,
Oh,
you're
deja
very
vu.
welcome. You're very
Yeah,
welcome, Anthony. And I
that's
hope
why we're here.
absolutely. So, of course, if anyone has anything else that they want to talk about, anything that they want to discuss, feel free. Even if we don't seemingly notice it to begin with, when we have questions coming in while we're discussing one, we see it, we'll star it and come back. That's what we
Absolutely.
endeavour and try to do. I think there's going to be inevitable conversation, and so I think we should probably just take a deep breath
Yeah.
and rip that plaster off. Of course, in a few weeks, there's going to be a general election. And
Yes.
one of the things that we're always told, as we're growing up, one of the things that we always hear, and one of those buzzwords that you hear so often is never mix religion and politics, and religious people should butt out of politics, and politics should butt out of religion. And while to an extent I agree with that, to an extent, there is a conditional to that, because I believe in the old adage of religion and politics, just like religion and science, are like the shoes on your feet. You can travel further with both than you can just one. Um, and so, from terms of that, I think, religion, very controversial depending on which one. But let's be honest, religion can cause harm, and so can political machinations. And I personally believe that it is the responsibility of both to work in tandem, in order to check and balance each other. Certainly, as a minister of religion, I will never, ever, ever make any personal recommendations of a political nature, because it is not my job. I don't tell people what God is. I help them find their own relationship with the divine. And I believe that that should be the same in terms of life on this earth. We all have free will and the right to choose. And although politics isn't, and certainly democracy, the form certainly that we use, isn't probably the perfect balance of democracy, it's still better than many alternatives. And so for me, as much as I would never tell people which political party, which political affiliation best aligns with spirituality, because I'm not entirely sure that there are any. Um, what I would say is that it's vitally important, that we have our say, and make our voices heard. I really, really, really get frustrated when I hear phrases like "I'm not going to vote for anybody." Um, I know it's difficult to choose sometimes. Do I want plague and pestilence? Do I want famine and flood? Sometimes it can be really, really difficult,
It
but we
can.
have to have a choice, and we have to make a choice and be part of the process, because at the end of the day, the country is not properly represented when we all don't have our say.
Yeah,
If you sit there and think, well, that particular person always wins in our district, so what's the point of voting? If everybody thought like that, then that's why they're winning. You know,
yeah,
if you've got a 30% turnout and one person always wins, maybe everybody else is thinking like you, so maybe we shouldn't think like that. So my only thoughts on the election is make sure to check who it is that you are voting for. Check whether they are honest and truthful. Check whether they are a person of integrity in their word, and vote for the person that you find is the most intended to stick to what it is that they say and do, but make your voice heard and make it count.
just a quick note on that. A friend of mine, well, Claire, who sometimes watches and chips into our conversations on a Friday, she said, I always email as soon as I know there's an election coming, email every candidate and ask them the questions that are relevant to me. And that's how she comes to judge who she's going to vote for. I did that, and strangely enough, the only person who replied was our MP, who, like you say, stick a red rosette on a daffodil round here, and that candidate will get in. So it's the one who is almost guaranteed to keep his seat was the only one who bothered to reply.
Yeah,
Which you think, come on,
yeah. Put a bit of effort in,
Yeah, I've
and that
taken the
is,
time to email you and ask you a question about things that are relevant to me and my community. You can't even be bothered to reply.
yeah, and that is the scary thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I just want someone who's honest. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to say something very, very controversial here, and I know I am going to get hate for it, but hear me out. There is a certain I'm going to cover myself by not naming this particular person. There is a certain politician who I disagree with his opinions, I disagree with his politics, I disagree with his attitude, I disagree with his behavior. But I cannot help but at least mildly respect him because he is honest about what he's saying. I would never vote for him if he was my MP. But I respect him for actually saying, "Look, this is my thoughts, this is my opinions, this is what I believe. I do my best not to let it to influence my politics. And if it's a collective responsibility moment, I will always go with the majority, whether I like it or not. But this is my opinion, this is my view, and I stand by it. I credit that, even though I disagree with that opinion.
Mm,
And so ironically, he is a silver spoon kind of guy, but at least he's honest about it.
yeah,
He used to be a bit of a joker, and then he got some power, and that was always a bad thing.
it
Um,
always
but
is.
I
It
will
always
I will
is.
respect people for standing by their opinions, whether I agree with them or not is a completely different matter.
Exactly. And like we've always said, everybody has freedom of speech and the right to have opinion, but that comes with consequences.
Yeah,
So when you do say something that's really out there, then get ready for it because it's going to come back and bite you.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, the thing is, Daniel, they can't. Having worked in civil service, once you get into that hall down in Westminster, you become part of that bubble.
Mm.
And no matter where you've started, once you get there, you're in the bubble. And
Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely is a
absolute,
very familiar phrase.
it
But I tell
does.
you what, you've just brought me to my first. It's been a long time, my friends. Drum roll, please. My first Babylon 5 quote of the day. Um, it always reminds me, and this actually demonstrates the mindset. Two characters in there. They're a race of aliens called Centauri. Big, crown type hair. And at this particular point, the ambassador Londo, he's gone through this evolution and become better, but he was previously the bad guy. But his PA Via, played by the wonderful actor Stephen First, he started out the 5 year story. He was a big guy, over 20 stone. Midway through the run, he lost so much weight it actually saved his life. Um, Such a wonderful actor, brilliant guy, really, really, you know, really nervous, really, really crazy kind of guy. Lovely, lovely character. I recommend this scene is available online, so look out for it. I'll share a link on my Facebook page. They're talking, and Londo says, you know, believe it or not, after everything that we've been through, I consider you to be the only friend I have. He says, everyone who comes into politics walks through the halls of power and become changed, become darker. And yet here you are. You've walked through the halls of the power. You've walked around the palace. And somehow you've remained untouched by it all. He follows it up with, I can only assume you haven't been paying attention, but there it is. You are untouched by this. And it is really, really difficult to not be taken, as you said, on that wave, because everybody's. I truly, truly believe that the vast majority, I was going to say everybody, I truly believe that the vast majority start out with the best of intentions.
Mm,
I have to believe that because I believe in the human race. Um, But, I truly believe everyone starts out with the best of intentions, but when you get near that power source, people use the phrase power vacuum to say when there isn't any power or
Mm.
no control. I believe that power is a vacuum, full stop. It sucks you in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Good point. Good point.
We should be able to take those who don't stick to their word to court for breach of contract. Do you know what it really, really is? Because if I were to, get a job and sign my contract and start working, if I decided to, not turn up, let's take the petrol station as an example. If I decided, oh well, that's my shift, I'm not actually going to turn up. But when I do turn up, you know what? I'm actually going to charge you double and pocket half of it. And I know you're here to buy petrol, but I've decided that I'm not going to sell it to you. I know you've got an empty tank, but you know what? You can't have it. I'd be out of a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there is that element of they should. Oh, I have received 100 messages today with Restream chat.
Oh, you've had a notification.
I had a notification, yes. But yeah, it's if you get into power by saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do the other, then do it because that's why people voted you in.
Yeah.
Don't get into power and then say, actually, I know, those green targets we said we were going to hit. No, I can't be bothered with them today. We'll extend it to 2030, whatever, or 2050, whatever. No, do what you say you're going to do. And yes, Chris Noel O'Neill, I agree. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes. The voice of wisdom is our Chris. Lovely, lovely, lovely to see you. You made it. And you're absolutely right. And this is an interesting one because it is a promise, it is a commitment, therefore it should be contractual. Good point, Eunice. Manifestos should be law.
Yeah, legal documents. Why not?
If you are voted in based on your manifesto, achieving it must be what you're supposed to do. Not, and this is half the problem. You know, things change. Oh, it's unachievable. We can't do it. Well, you promised to.
Yeah,
You know,
it,
if you,
it, yeah. You
oh
gained all of those seats on the basis of you said you were going to do that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm doing it. For example, simple. Really, I'm doing a wedding blessing tomorrow. If I turn up and say, you know what, I really didn't have enough time to write a blessing. So I'm just gonna say, do you, it's done. You know, would I be thanked for that? If I change the goalposts and don't do what I've committed to do.
Yeah, you wouldn't walk in there and start doing a christening service instead just
No.
because, you
Yeah.
just wouldn't, would you? I know you asked for a wedding, but I'll give you a christening. That's near enough, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
It's crazy, crazy.
Definitely. And I agree there, John. Speaking of John, this is how long it's been. I received a present from John, and I was going to do a big reveal the very next show that we were on together. I've had this wonderful book from the lovely John Parry, and that's how long we've been apart, bless him. John, your book is amazing. I will share a link on my page and in the Two Revs Continue the Debate group page as well. I strongly, strongly recommend this wonderful book by John. It's gorgeous.
Isn't it? I loved it. I've read it a few times now. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. It's just such a beautiful little story.
Yeah, yeah, it really, really is.
And it's such an easy
Inspiring too.
read. Yeah, such an easy read. All about the power of love.
Absolutely, which is where it all begins. So there you go, mate. Little bit of a plug for you as well.
And there's a thanks. Yeah.
You're very welcome, mate. You're very welcome. Um, Kai, bless your heart. You might want a wedding, but need a christening. Um, Trust me, the because they've already had the official wedding and they're having a renewal of vows blessing. Their children are going to be involved in the service, so I may well end up doing both. You know, it's good to get both, but not just the one that you didn't ask for. So I could do both.
Yeah. Yeah. Bless.
Absolutely.
But
Um, Daniel's comment. NHS, interested in your thoughts on this one, Tony, because obviously, you've been having some very, very direct impact with the NHS, both professionally and personally, in terms of
mm,
your throat, but also with your work in the Rainbow Project. I know you give support and guidance and direct people within the framework of the NHS,
mm.
especially in terms of mental health. Daniel says the NHS is a big one for me. All the years it's been a free service run by itself, soon to be dissolved. Do you think so? Do you think that's the way we're going? Do you think it will survive?
I
How is it coping in its current format?
It's not, putting it bluntly. I think it's been cut way past the bone. I think it's now down to the marrow. Um, I think it's full of genuinely wonderful people trying to do genuinely wonderful things under very difficult circumstances. Um, for me, it is one of the biggest pluses for being in the UK.
Mm,
It is because we have a national health service, and it's one we should be proud of, very proud of. Um, I think far too much of it has been hived off to private corporations, but that's just a personal opinion.
yeah,
I think there's far too many fingers in the pies now, and it's lost its direction. Absolutely lost its direction. Um, oh, John, you're going down places I don't want to go, but you're right.
he's right. Yep.
A lot of what we're suffering now is self-inflicted from the the thingy we had a few years ago where we decided out rather than in, but that's what it is. And the fact that now the families of people who travel from outside of the EU to work here, it's going to be so difficult for them to join their families here. It's going to make it worse. But I understand a lot of frustration around the NHS at the moment, and I've been in hospitals with people when people have become very agitated and aggravated with staff, and it's not the staff's fault. It's they've got X amount of resource, and they do what they do with that resource. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Um, I can absolutely get where you're coming from, Tracy. I have um, a couple of long-term health issues myself that aren't going anywhere, and you can just. I mean, my throat appointment was supposed to be an urgent one, and it took 6 weeks to come through. And by the time it had, my voice had started to return. So there's not a lot I can do about it now because the inflammation's gone and everything's settled down. So it ain't nothing to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. But when people we work with the Rainbow Project have needed help, it's been there, and we've managed to get them through. Sometimes what you need is somebody to be there and advocate on your behalf.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, if there are any local patient charities and things where you are and you're having issues, get them involved, because just having someone turn up with you or give you the words to say to get those things jolted to start, go for it, because
Absolutely.
yeah.
I, it's really, really important because I think the NHS is going to. should be the genuine topic of conversation in relation to the up and coming election. It's been patently obvious, and I don't want to get you started because I know that if I get you started, I'll join in. Um, but the run up to the announcement, the focus has been very much about, aeroplanes to Rwanda and um, gender. That is not what we should be voting about.
No,
Obviously, we should be aware of it and know what those people think. I agree. But that should not be what people are elected on in terms of we're going to sort things out by resetting the clock and everyone's going to do exactly what they say and they're all going to fit in their box and they're all going to be put in the because we will all end up in a bloody box if that carries on. What we should be choosing people, we should be able to choose people on is, are they going to fix the NHS? Are they going to make sure that everyone in need is getting the support they need? Are they going to fix the bloody potholes so that I don't have to have a new tyre put on my car every 6 months because driving from Ely to Littleport blows up half a tyre? It is an absolutely ridiculous state when it's all about Rwanda and gender rather than the issues that will have an impact. Because I'm sorry, for the most part, what somebody deems themselves as and how somebody lives their life in the comfort of their own home has got no direct impact on the world in which we live. But whether the NHS have got enough money, whether there are enough NHS dentists, I'd love to do a straw poll actually. Anybody watching got an NHS dentist subscription? You know, one so far. Let's find out if there's anybody else. Comment, because I can't find one, and I've travelled on the internet. I've searched every dentist in East Anglia, and I still can't get one.
there was a lady.
Simple things like that.
There was a lady from the Midlands who would have had to travel to the British side of the borders
Yeah.
to get a dentist. The other thing for me is it's the money in my pocket and what I can do with it that's going to influence how I not the memes I've seen about, oh, but Prime Minister, when we asked you about cheap modes of transport, you said helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's can I buy food for the next week and can I afford the electric? That's what these things should be. That's what this election should be run on. But there's enough smokescreen going around, like you say, to deflect and divert conversation down little narrow paths. It's ridiculous. Absolutely. Kai, no. Tracy, no.
mum has. Mum has.
Yeah.
You know, when and this is really, I do want to mention this on the flip side of it. When the whole private intervention with the NHS is done well and done properly, it can be amazing. And I'm going to use Mum as an example. Mum has had cataracts forming for a number of years, and she went to her local Vision Express in order
Mhm.
for her eye test, which is done by a private company but on the NHS. She went for her eye test, and they said, "Right, you're not even going to be bothering having a prescription this time, Mrs. Brown. You need your cataracts dealing with, so we are going to refer you." And they referred her to a private clinic not too far down the road. Um, and it was all done on the NHS. So these private clinics are working for the NHS to take the backlog off. Now, my aunt's been in a waiting list. Mum will probably correct me, but I think my aunt's got a waiting list time of about 18 months for her cataracts. Mum went in on the December, was referred by Vision Express to this private clinic, got her appointment in January, and both eyes were done by the end of February. So when it's done properly, it works and it takes the pressure off. That's one less person on a waiting list.
Exactly. My mum has had the opposite experience. She's been with an NHS dentist from me living up there, so well over 30 years, and had a letter last month or the month before saying, we are now turning private. If you don't want to join the private scheme, you'll have to find another dentist.
Yeah.
Which is like, how can you do that?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be something like nearly £20 a month
Yeah.
for this private scheme to have your teeth checked. Now, I'm sorry, but that's not customer service, you know. But hey, let me just catch up. I've missed a
Yeah,
few.
I'm gonna say I was doing the same things. Lots of conversation. Hi, Ruthie. About the dentists, and it's pretty much yes. Um, and then obviously there are absolutely negative experiences in relation
Mm,
to NHS and commercial businesses. I think Mum was really, really lucky, and her story is definitely a good example of how it can work. But you are
absolutely.
absolutely right, Chris, that there is a very, very negative side to that as well. Lisa says, when Mark had cancer 12 years ago, the NHS were amazing, and his treatment was over £150,000. He asked how much it was, and that's why he does not waste a single day. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, I people all around the world, especially, I've got many American friends who still believe that their country is way better than my country, and as soon as they, and it's kind of like this little joke. Oh, America's so much better on this. America's so much better on this. And I just put my hand on my wrist and they say, "You're going to say NHS, aren't you?"
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. And they laugh their head off because they agree. They
Yeah.
absolutely agree. It's one of the best things in the universe. I rate it as highly as non-dairy ice cream. That's how
Yes,
important it is.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Wow.
you-
Carol Phillips
Hi,
picked it up
Carol.
from the vet, 10 teeth out, £767.
Yeah,
There's a big investigation at the minute on the cost of veterinary treatments and the fact that something like 60% of the vets in the country are owned by 6 companies.
yes.
But hey, I know.
Without going into too much detail, I know of two bunnies who've had spurs growing on their teeth. They had to have an operation to have them ground down, not out. Each bunny around about 1,200 quid for the operation.
Blow me, that's expensive. Because what else was going to come out my mouth was obscene and would have been banned.
So, right, we're not streaming to Instagram or TikTok. We're fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah,
Um, it,
it's
yeah,
diabolical.
it is. It is. But they've got you by the proverbials because you're going to pay it because they're your pets and you love them.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. Um, but yeah,
Wow.
uh,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
we're talking about a spare. It's uh, um, because we're not going through that again.
Yeah.
They were lovely. They were wonderful. They were so cute, and I adored them. But not doing that again. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, I'm dreading ringing the vets and asking just how much it'll be because we can't have it done yet because the hormones haven't settled back down enough. But yeah,
This is interesting because this is from the view of someone living in France. One tablet for flea and tick treatment, €35, which is still blooming expensive. So,
it
you
is.
know, but imagine having to do that for your own body,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
You know, once again, there is a charge for prescriptions if you're of a certain or under a certain age. But still, some medications can be thousands of pounds, and we pay what is it now, about £9.80 or 13 quid. I can't
Something like
remember
that.
which.
Yeah. 9 pounds.
Um,
Yeah.
so, we still, and this is why it must be protected, it must
Yeah.
be defended, but
Yeah.
most of all, it must be bloody fixed.
Yes. Yes. That's the big one for me. We need
Yeah,
to sort it all out. But yeah, it's all about the Reddies, isn't it?
yeah,
But
absolutely. But I have to admit there was a comment from Kai, I believe it was, and I am scrolling back now because I think she sums up the sentiment of everyone here gathered, but also what it needs to be. And that is what we really need in government are people with integrity and honour who will do the best for the public. And sadly, no one stands on that ticket.
yes,
You can
yes.
understand why people don't want to vote sometimes.
You can. But like you said earlier, I think it is important to make your voice heard. and
Yeah,
and if you don't, then you can't complain about what the party that's in's doing.
yeah,
You know. But yeah, we're all moving up to Scotland. We'll all move into Kaz's spare room.
yeah. Move up with Sarah and with Kaza because prescriptions are free up there. We've got quite a good Scottish contingent these days with Sarah and with Kaza, and there are a few others as well joining us. So welcome to Scotland. Or welcome from Scotland. I'm going to confuse myself with that one. Yeah. Um, yeah, Tracy Oxford, Martin Lewis would do a good job, but he's too honest. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
But
it'd
you
be
know
rin.
what? What pleases me is that we kind of like lit that blue touch paper and was almost close to running away. But what it's become is about the focus on health and support for each other. That's the real core. People just want to make sure that we can look after each other and be looked after and be supported. That's what we want. Um, you know, and this. Oh, I didn't know that actually. Hmm. Did you know this?
Yes,
Register with the RSPCA and get a great reduction on vet bills. I
it's.
didn't know this.
I think it's the same with the PDSA. If you get certain benefits and certain qualifying allowances, you can register and you get reduced bills. But
There we
yeah,
go. So if you've
bye.
got any pets, Anthony, register with the RSPCA. Nice to see you, Anthony. It's good to be back, and it's good to see you back, my friend. And we'll see you next time, buddy. So yeah, I think so long as we remember that we have to support each other and look after each other, the brotherhood and sisterhood of the human family, um,
Yeah.
that should be our focus, and that should be everyone's focus, and we need to demand that focus.
Yes, I think so. Um, well, that Carol's point that's just popped up. That's the thing. And the leader of the opposition did say today, I could promise this, and I could promise this, and I could promise this, and reducing the scrapping the two-child benefit limit, but there's only a certain amount of resource, so don't promise things you can't deliver. So yeah, whoever gets in now has got a hard job to unpick and to resettle a lot of stuff that's kicked off.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's wait 5 weeks and see what happens.
Yes. And I will be spent because I think I've been on. I will just say I've been on record previously, so I can say that I have lost allegiance with certain parties and moved away from them for various reasons. So I will be particularly paying a lot of attention to what everyone is saying, and I think sometimes political allegiances can be the problem because if you're born and bred and raised to follow this one particular group, sometimes you are blinded to their failings. Likewise, you could be trained to absolutely hate what another party is saying because they are in direct opposition. They're all in direct opposition to each other, otherwise they wouldn't exist. And we just have to really, really listen. Um, did I?
Yeah. She's on one.
You might have done. Soul Intentions, really good group. You've got to really, really listen to what people are saying and focus on what they're saying and see, are they offering you pipe dreams or are they offering you reality? Are they focusing on things that really don't matter, or are they focusing on things that you actually give a stuff about and will directly affect your life?
And the other thing I think is, if they do come knocking on your door, I think Mama Brown said earlier, hope they don't come on my door knocking for votes. If they do, challenge them.
Yeah, take them to
Ask the
task.
question.
Take them to task.
Yeah.
You know, somebody once said that perhaps I should stand for political. No. Um,
Same with Michael. I think he would do a good job, but no.
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put myself in that position because I care too much about dealing with individuals rather than, you know, I care about people too much to lose that contact. And I personally feel that that's what politics does to people. It takes them away from being around real people. One of the reasons that I loved working in retail and being a minister at the same time is because I got to see what everybody was up to and doing and going through. I couldn't even tell you how much the price of fuel is today. There was a time when I knew exactly every single day what that price was.
Mm.
Um, trust Daniel to bring some humor back into it.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you painting? Is it one of your pretty French girls? Um,
Oh,
um, yeah, and you know what? That is absolutely right. That is what our role is, here to support and try and pick up the pieces when things do go, um,
Pete
titty.
Tom. Yeah.
Yes, TU. Um, but ooh la la. So yes, Daniel, one day when you're down this way, you can paint me like one of your pretty French girls. Um, you know, you know, just move your head slightly to the left, slightly to the right, up a
Yeah.
bit, down. But yes, so we do have to support each other and bring each other up. That is what we are supposed to do. But we are also here to, you know, recommend caution, pause, and thought. And I think that is the only thing that I can really offer to people is just don't take Babylon 5 quote of the day 2. Commander Jeffrey Sinclair, who would one day become what and where will you place the fruit? Kaza, I'm not going to tell you. Um, Jeffrey Sinclair, who became actually a religious icon, he used this phrase, and I do live by this one. I think it's really, really important. Please, friends, ignore the propaganda, focus on what you see. And that is a really, really profound statement that's got more depth to it than you first realize. Ignore the
Absolutely.
propaganda, focus on what you see.
Yeah. It's that old adage of show, don't tell. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me. You know,
Yeah.
because it's been said before. You can promise the earth, but deliver nothing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Promise the earth and deliver dirt. Um,
Yeah.
and not the
Yeah.
kind of dirt that we like. Um, oh dear. And Sue says that John's gone AWOL, bless him. He's probably gone to make sure that there's enough books at Amazon to sell now that we've given him a plug.
Yeah.
Um, I know it doesn't work like that. I know it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. No, bless him. Really, really good book. I recommend it. I will share the link after. Carol says so many things go on in Parliament behind people's backs and not for our good, and they want separate nation. The people have to become enlightened themselves, and we all need to give kindness, respect, and compassion to each other. Um, yes, absolutely. Tracy, words are easy. It's actions that count completely.
Yeah.
Um, it really, really is. So ignore the propaganda. Focus on what you see.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's spot on. I love that. That's really cool. What a
Babylon
show!
5 was very useful.
It
And yes, what a first day back. You know, I think we've gently eased into it now that we're back, darling.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm run out. I'm run out.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, it is that time where we are now starting to wrap up. Thank you all for being with us. A very, very quick one to wrap up with though, because I did star something. So Tony, I'm going to ask you, what is the most brilliant, profound thing your guides have ever said to you, either when you had a moan or a bit of self pity moment? Just to, because I think that actually is the Tony bow for our conversation.
I think so. I think so. Um, wow, what have they said? There's so many. There's so many. It's hard to pin one down. Um, I think it's something that I said before about by lighting someone else's light, yours shines no less brightly.
Yeah, that is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is gorgeous.
By building somebody else up, you don't knock yourself down.
Yeah,
You both shine equally brightly.
yeah,
And um, the mental image of guides showing people to their seats in cinemas with a little torch, shining the light into the darkness.
yeah.
It's that type of thing. Yeah, I think that's the more. Yeah. Um, yes, Carol's getting off a soapbox now.
Absolutely. I understand the
Man
feeling,
back under the
darling.
desk.
I understand the feeling.
What about yours, Nick?
Profound, there's a few, and certainly Gordon's very good at coming up with wise words to put me in a better place. Um, you know, there are times when I just sit in this room and the whole weight of the world around me is just I don't know what to do, and there's always these wonderful words of wisdom and guidance. But I think the most profound impact was from one of his cohorts, who I knew on the Earth plane, who was my friend Stuart. And the most profound and effective when I was feeling sorry for myself was when Stuart came and in this meditation that I was doing to talk to them in the silence, he came and sat on the side of the bed and he put his hand on mine and he looked me squarely in the eyes and said, Nick, stop being such a pansy and grow up. You're better than this.
Yeah,
It worked. It
that
worked.
would
So
work.
sometimes it doesn't have to be poetic to have an effect.
Yeah,
But certainly there's too many to mention on terms of the times they've had to pick me up off my backside.
yeah,
But certainly, yeah, stop being a pansy, get off your ass and grow up. You're better than this.
yeah.
Um,
I love Joanne and Carol's.
yes,
You don't need anyone else's approval to be you. So true in these times
yeah, absolutely.
when certain bits of legislation are sneaking back in by stealth. Um, and Carol's, my mum came through and told me to grow a backbone like her and say bugger anyone else, lol. She wasn't wrong. Love my mum. I love your
Absolutely.
mum too. That was lovely.
Absolutely. Definitely. So yeah, I mean, sometimes, I suppose it ties in really with one thing that Gordon did once say to me. He says, "I could sit here and give you flowery words, and I could give you something poetic to make you think. But now is not the time to think. Now is the time to act. So I will simply say this: get up and go for it." Which
Yes.
ended up being flowery, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But for him, it wasn't.
gonna say for him that was very plain speak. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
plain spoken. But yeah, it's
Brilliant.
it's been wonderful to be back with you, mate, and it's been wonderful to be back with everyone. What do you think, friends at home, of the chat pane on the page with this wonderful quantum field, spiritual matrixy DNA style background, and your comments at the side so you can see what everyone is saying? Do you think that it helps? Do you think it's distracting? Do you? Because I personally think it's wonderful being able for everyone to see what's going on, because it makes you guys more of a part of the conversation as well, and it means that
Yeah.
you don't miss anything because you get to see it too. But let us know what you think in the comments. Um, oh, Ruthie. When I have a woe is me day, my guide tells me, Ruthie, you can have one bad day and one sad day, but then you must get up and carry on. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely love that. Um, Completely agree with you. But yeah, let us know what you think. If there's anything else that we can add as a feature, because look, Tony's had a quick half an hour play. I've had like 2 days on this. So we have literally just scratched the surface of what we can do. We
Yeah.
are able to look at the analytics and see if we've had signal problems and all stuff like that as well. So it's all cool. Um, and do you know what? I'd forgotten about it. Oh, we can actually stream. It's not available while live, but we can actually change the orientation as well. So this is TV version, but we can also record and broadcast in here on mobile phone upright version as well. There
Cool.
is um good question. The answer is Tony's here, so yes, because this is off my account, and I've done it was exactly the same process, wasn't it, Tony, mate?
It was, yeah. In fact, it was easier because with StreamYard, it almost made me create a separate event to put it onto my feed.
Yes.
It was just click 2 buttons and it was done. It was all set up, and then I just joined the room.
And I'll tell you something else as well, which I've only just thought of. How many have we seen saying Facebook user?
None, none.
You don't have to go anymore and click I give permission to, so we can see who everybody
Mm.
is. We haven't had to say, hello, Facebook user, who are you? So that's
Yeah,
another thing. That's another thing.
that's a really good point. Yeah, yeah. Oh, mobile phone. The text is a little bit too small to read. The
Right.
comment.
Gotcha. Gotcha. If you've got a smart TV, play us on the smart TV. You can have
Yeah,
it in full Technicolor.
you can. Yes, wonderful.
Um, Yes, because everyone will be watching on Facebook. There are some people, because we can tell who's on YouTube. For instance, Kaza is on YouTube,
Yeah,
because of that
YouTube
little icon
signal there.
there. Are you on your own on on YouTube, darling? I think you might be. But you can watch on YouTube, and that plays through your telly. Um, and we are there are plenty of other ways. We can set up a Twitch if people want to watch us on Twitch. um we
There
can
was
play games at the same time,
you can, yeah.
do, do some gaming. But yeah, there are plenty of different ways in which Instagram, TikTok, I'm not so sure about, because obviously that will be really, really tiny, because we can't do portrait and landscape at the same time. It has to be
No.
one or t'other.
Yeah.
So Tracer's on YouTube too. You got us on both. It is called Restream.io.
Restream.
Um,
And Chrissy, fingers crossed next Friday.
yes, and we will absolutely. It's been a while. We've both had things going on, and more importantly, Tony hasn't had a voice, bless his heart, so he hasn't been able to do it. But we're
No.
back now, and please, God willing, we're back to stay. Um, and with new tech, with new tech.
Yeah. Brand new tech. It's wonderful. I love it. I'm going to go and have a play with it, the tech, later.
Would it be great if we ended on that, ladies and gentlemen?
Bye.
So we are actually going to say goodbye now, because Tony is going to go and play with it, and I'm going to spend a few minutes showing him how.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen so he can see how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful.
Because there's lots of new buttons that you can press to make different things happen now.
Okay.
Plus, plus there's something that you can click so that you can find out how many people are watching you play with it. We really are back now.
Yeah.
We've been too
Yeah.
clean today. We're properly back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with us, everyone. We will be back at 4 o'clock next Friday. But for now, thank you for coming back and joining us all again. Reverend Tony Swindells, my good friend. It's so good to hear your voice, mate.
And it's been brilliant being back. Thank you, everybody. It's been absolutely great. John, it's probably not legal, no, but yes, we're
But
going to
it
do
is
it
good
anyway.
fun.
Yes, we're going to do it anyway.
Excellent. We're going to go now. God bless, and may the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. Cheers, guys. Take care, and God bless.
Bye.